America didn't change overnight. It switched quietly. One economic switch flipped, and life was never the same again. There was no announcement, no warning. Just a new system that looked like opportunity and felt like progress. But underneath it all, everything shifted. Before this switch, most Americans worked to live. You earned money, paid for your needs, and what was left over was yours. Homes were smaller, lives were simpler. Debt was rare, and even considered shameful. If you couldn't afford something, you waited. Freedom wasn't perfect, but it was real. Then the switch flipped. Credit became easy, almost too easy. Banks realized something incredibly powerful. If people could borrow against their future, they would work harder in the present. So, loans stopped being emergency tools. They became products. Debt was rebranded as normal, smart, even responsible. Credit cards arrived with smiles and rewards. The phrase "buy now, pay later" sounded so harmless. Mortgages grew larger. Car loans stretched longer. People were told this was progress. But what really happened was subtle. Income stopped being enough. Debt became a requirement, and that changed our behavior. When you owe money, you can't just slow down. You can't question the system. You can't take big risks. You need stability, even if that stability makes you deeply unhappy. Fear replaced force. Deadlines replaced chains. The entire work culture changed to jobs weren't about purpose anymore. They became about survival. Benefits mattered more than joy. Paychecks mattered more than peace. Missing a day of work was dangerous. Quitting your job felt impossible. Freedom became a luxury. This switch also changed our identity. Success was no longer measured by how much free time you had or your health. It was measured by consumption. Bigger homes, newer cars, more and more stuff. But none of it was ever fully owned. People looked wealthy, but they felt trapped. Entertainment helped hide the truth. Comfort kept people quiet. Because when life feels just good enough, no one asks the hard questions. A comfortable system doesn't need control. It only needs distraction. This switch made America incredibly productive, but also dependent. Innovative, but exhausted. Rich on paper, but fragile in reality. One emergency, one job loss, one single mistake, and the whole house of cards collapses. The wealthy understood this switch. They used debt as a tool, not a trap. They borrowed to control assets, not to impress others. They bought their freedom, not just things. Everyone else was taught the exact opposite. The economic switch didn't take freedom away. It traded it. It traded long-term freedom for short-term comfort, and most people accepted the deal without ever reading the terms and conditions. That switch is still on. The system is still running. The question isn't whether it will ever change back. The real question is this: will you learn how it works? Because once you understand the switch, you stop being powered by it, and you start using it instead. Thanks for watching. If this made you think, consider subscribing for more.